Hi, my name is Barb Sackel and I'm here today to talk to you about how to do bindings. In my full line of patterns, I don't tell you how to do bindings because everyone does them different. So I thought for convenience sake, let me show you the way I do it and perhaps I can help you on your quilting endeavors. So here we go. First thing I'm going to show you is how to prepare our 2.5 inch strips. Cut as many 2.5 inch strips as you need for the whole perimeter of your quilt. You'll notice that I said 2.5 because I do a double binding, which gives you more endurance for the edge of your quilt. After you have your 2.5 inch strips cut, let's go over to the sewing machine. I'll show you how to put them together. Okay, here's our 2.5 inch strip. Now we need to connect these, and what I do is I connect them on an angle so that it doesn't show up as much. You're going to take the ends. You're going to place one end across your machine like this and the other end here so that it makes an upside down L. You are now going to sew from this corner, and I mean right inside where those two pieces meet, and you're going to sew directly down to this little corner where they meet also. Put them under your presser foot. And as you can see, I have a line drawn on my sewing machine, and this is the center. So what I can do is once I have this, I just run this little piece right up the line, and it gives me the perfect. There it is, the perfect seam. Now when this opens up, it'll be flush. Okay, let's connect one more piece. Again, we have the pieces that we just connect across our sewing machine. We're going to lay this one so that we have an upside down L, and we're going to sew from the outside point to the inside point following the line on our machine. You don't have to backstitch this. This will all be caught in when you do your binding. Now this is all connected. Then what we want to do is just trim off 1/4 inch our excess fabric. We don't need that. And you'll notice that my pieces the pieces that I'm working with are a little bit smaller. My intention is to work on this 12.5 inch block, and I made enough binding just to go around this block. Now we're going to go over to the ironing board and prepare this. Now that we're at the ironing board, we're going to press our binding and make it ready for our quilt. So let's go ahead. Ready. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bend over the end of our binding at a 45-degree angle and then press. Cut off the excess fabric 1/4 inch. And I'm going to give this a second press. Now when I fold this over in half, you can see that it creates our pocket. I'm going to press this binding the entire length. And did you notice how I didn't pay any particular attention to this? When I closed this over, it bent the proper way. So I don't really pay a lot of attention to that. It'll do exactly what it's supposed to do. And here we go. And I'm just pressing the entire, here's another seam allowance, and I'm just going to press it and let it do exactly what it wants to do. The normal binding will be much longer than this, but this will give us a starting point. Go. Now we're ready to attach our binding, and I generally attach it about 3 to 4 inches away from any particular corner. It doesn't matter. I'm going to put it right on the edge of my makeshift quilt here. Notice I'm using the walking foot. This is going to give me better binding. So I always use the walking foot for my quilting and for my binding. And that's if you do the quilting stitch in the ditch. Okay, I'm ready to take a couple. I'm going to take a couple stitches in the beginning, and this locks in the top part of our pocket. Then I lift up my presser foot. I'm going to advance it down about 2 inches. And for my particular walking foot, I like to follow the edge right here. Everyone's walking foot will be a little bit different, but in general it's going to be 1/4 inch. So find a mark on your walking foot and then you can just eye that to the edge. Now I'm going to continue on the edge. I'm going to peek under here because I want to stop this 1/4 inch from the end. So I'm just going to put my finger right about there. I'm going to run. Again, I'm getting right to the end, 1/4 inch away, and I did a back stitch. I'm lifting up the presser foot and I'm pulling the entire unit towards me. Now I'm going to take the binding and I'm going to put it just like that, forming a backwards L. After you can see how it goes like this. After I do that, I'm going to fold it right back down on itself. This is going to give us a mitered corner. Let me show you that again. I came to the end and I back stitched, pulled it away from my presser foot, and I'm going to pull that directly over to my right side. Once I pull that directly over to my right, I am now going to pull it right back to the left, and I'm going to line up this top edge. Notice how the top edge as well as the side edge is matched up to the edge of the quilt. Once I do that, I am now going to turn my quilt, put it back under the presser foot, and start sewing. At this point, I have to backstitch again. Now I'm going to just line up the edge of my binding to the edge of my quilt and sew the duration of the side. Remember again that we're going to stop 1/4 inch from the end. I'm just going to peek under there so that I can get a reference. And if you're not exactly 1/4 inch, it's okay. Notice I backstitched. Again, I'm going to pull the quilt towards me, pull the binding up to the right, holding this in place, and then I'm going to fold it back down on itself so that the top lines up and the edge lines up. Now I'm going to turn my quilt. Again, line up here 1/4 inch. I'm going to start to sew and I'm going to backstitch. Okay, as you can see, we've finished our last corner. We're coming down and now we're near our pocket. I'm going to take a quick snip and cut away our excess thread. Then you notice how we left the 2 inches so that we could open up our pocket. I'm now going to just measure that and cut off the excess binding on an angle. We're going to take that, tuck it into our pocket. This is going to make the whole binding look fluent. You'll never know where it starts and you'll never know where it stops. When I get to the end, I'm going to backstitch, lock that in place, and our binding is on.